Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This trip is all about one-day bus tour from Edinburgh to Lochness, Glencoe and Highland. I chose Timberbush travel agency and it took us actually 8.5 hours for the travel. I paid £56 and our pickup point was 7:30, which is behind the Castle of Edinburgh. Please forgive me because this video is too long. I try to keep it short as I can.
Now, just before we get out onto the open road, guys, it is law in this country that if a vehicle provides you with a seatbelt, then you must wear it whilst the vehicle is moving. If you're found not wearing your seatbelt by the police, then you will be executed. It's quite harsh, but very effective. All joking aside, guys, these vehicles are fitted with an emergency braking system, so if the vehicle thinks it's going to have Now the Romans built that knowing that it would last the test of time. So why in 2025 can Apple not make your phone battery last all day? Now William Wallace was 6'7". How would he get into this house on the left hand side? Look at that, number 148. Tiny little door. Now the average height for a male was under 5 foot. So we're a small nation. So a 6'7" William Wallace was considered a giant. Even today's standard, he's still pretty big. On your right hand side is my favourite hardware store. I don't know why it's my favourite. Now this is just about to enter at the Calendar's Market Square, and if you look to your left hand side you'll see a monument with a lion at the top. Now that lion tells you that it is a national market square. If it was a local market square, what animal do you think would be at the top? Somebody just said it. The unicorn, yes. I've had people saying sheep, cows. Why would a sheep be at the top? It would be a unicorn, the national animal of Scotland. Now, a lot of people ask, why do you have a mythical creature as your national animal? And well, to be honest, you guys have never been to the Highlands before, so how do you know that they are mythical creatures? I'll try and point one out for you. Oh, a little puppy dog. Hello, puppy dog. Again, some more of these Victorian mansions here. A lot of these have been converted to B&Bs and hostels. This is known as Millionaire's Row, this bit of Calendar. This is where all the rich people that want the title of living in the Highlands but don't actually want to live in the Highlands. Now, you may have noticed the scenery has changed in front of us. We are getting very close to the Highlands. Now soon we will be going over the Highland boundary fault line, which runs diagonally across Scotland. Now this was created when part of Norway crashed into Scotland millions of years ago, pushing the lands up, and over the millions of years and dozens of ice ages, the glaciers all carved these beautiful, what we call glens. You will know them as valleys. We call them glens. And usually, at the bottom of our glens, there is a loch. L-O-C-H. In Scotland, all our mountains are called bens. Britain's highest mountain, Ben Nevis, is here in Scotland. Now, also in Scotland, we don't say yes. We don't say that. That's like swearing. So what we say is aye. Okay, everyone want to try that out? So, say for instance, is it daytime? Aye. You don't say yes. Simple. If you're really, really posh, you may say yes. Certainly not me. And if we want to say no, we say no. No. N-A-W. Now, once we cross over the Highland boundary fault line, you will see your first loch of the Highlands, called Loch Lubnig, which translates back from the Scots Gaelic language to mean the crooked loch, the loch with the bend, as it bends round Ben Lady, which is the mountain you will see just shortly. Ben Lady is 2,800 feet. Anything over 3,000 feet is known as a Munro. This is after Hugh Munro famously surveyed the mountains in Scotland, and there's now over 200 Munros in Scotland. Now, please make sure you have a hold of any loose items, phones, bags, children, as we're about to go over the Highland boundary fault line. Now, I will test you. Are you all ready for your first wee of the day?
Aye.
Aye. Well, of course you're ready. You said aye. Welcome to the Highlands of Scotland. That was the Highland boundary fault line there, guys. We will cross it later on this evening, but you don't know us, to be honest. And we will shortly see our first loch, Loch Lubnig. Now, most of our lochs in Scotland, fishing wise, is wild brown trout, rainbow trout, pike and perch for sport fishing. Loch Lubnig is also one of the warmest lochs in Scotland. It stays around 7 degrees all year round. So most of Scotland's lochs will never freeze over. There is one or two that will, but most of them will never freeze over due to the peat particles that's in the water. And peat is essentially a fossil fuel. All the vegetation and soil just before it turns into coal is this really thick, muddy, very pungent. We also use it to flavour whiskies. You get a smoky taste. It's peat that's been burned against them all. Now, don't worry guys, that's not Loch Lubnig there to the left, that's just a puddle. This section of the road is known as the roller coaster of the Highlands, so if you can get through this guys, you'll get through the rest of it. However, I have had people develop motion sickness on this. I've never had it before. So guys, coming up on your left hand side is the crooked loch, Loch Lubnig. Also very popular with Scottish people because we can be up here no time at all enjoying lochs, glens, and we're very, very proud of our Highlands and its beauty, and we like to keep it that way, and we like to visit it as well. So yeah, we can be up here no time at all. It's very close to the towns and cities. Also, people use Loch Lubnig for cold water swimming. Yeah. Usually a Friday and Saturday morning, you drive along here, you can see lots of floats in the water. All these maniacs out swimming. So anyway guys, I'm going to shut up for a bit, concentrate on this road. Loch Lubnig and Ben Lady are there for your viewing. Keep an eye out, there is some Highland cows in a field just coming up on the left hand side in between the road and the loch. Some older cows that are horns are a little bit longer. Most of all, enjoy the sights guys, and I'll speak to you once this road eases off. fairly typical Highland town. It has one school, one shop, one doctor, one police, 3 pubs. But it is also the home of one of Scotland's notorious characters, a man called Rob Roy McGregor, and the McGregor clan. The Trossachs and Loch Lomond was his area, and he's actually buried just at the foot of this hill over at the front left hand side of the bus. Now Rob Roy McGregor and the McGregor clan were notorious cattle rustlers, cattle thieves, and the government actually made the name McGregor illegal. So a lot of Scottish or McGregor clan members had to quickly marry into different clans to have their names changed. Apart from Rob Roy, he went, who cares? He kept the name. He was arrested several times, but he just managed to escape every time. Oh, have a look, guys. Down there to the left hand side, 2 off-duty unicorns. Look. See, don't make eye contact with them. If they see you looking at them, you will explode into 1,000 pieces. Yeah. So there you go. You've seen 2 unicorns. Amazing. I told you they were real, didn't I? I told you they were real. So yeah, Rob Roy is buried just over to the left hand side in a little place called Balquhidder. He was also played in a film back in 1997 by Liam Neeson. Now Liam Neeson is tall, dark, handsome. Everything that Rob Roy wasn't. Rob Roy, there's 2 other unicorns down there as well. Rob Roy was very, very short, had a very small torso, really long arms, very, very pale, and of course fiery red ginger hair. Red Rob Roy. To the truth and Braveheart. So yeah. Just over to the left is the little town of Balquhidder. It's here where Rob Roy is buried alongside his 2 sons who were hanged for stealing sheep. So they were still doing it. Famous shark toilet. Yeah, it's an actual thing, look. Shark toilet. Bet you weren't expecting to see that in the Highlands. Every weekend, Loch Earn is full of drunk Scottish people falling in the water. Sheep with blue dots. Oh, that one's got a purple dot on it. Now the little town that we are in is called Loch Earn Head. Anyone hazard a guess why it's called Loch Earn Head? Anyone? It sits at the head of the loch. That's all.
Lochness.
Loch Earn Head. Now we are just about to go into our first glen. This is Glencoe, O-G-L-E, and it's famous around these parts for having huge rocks fall from the top down to the bottom. Thankfully they built the road on the right hand side and most of the rocks fall on the left hand side. However, there was a group of very drunk business people decided it would be a good idea to open a railway on the left hand side. Now of course it took a long time for it to be built. Sorry, doing bus driver things, guys. It took a long time to be built. Tracks were getting damaged, site was getting damaged. When it finally did open, of course, the tracks were still getting damaged, trains were getting damaged, tracks were getting blocked. And eventually people lost interest, realised it was so unreliable, and they stopped using it. Then the government finally they closed it down. And of course the business people became very sad. So they started drinking again. And they came up with an idea of what to do with the old existing train line. So they decided that rather having the protection of a railway carriage, would just allow people to walk along it. Yeah. So now you, instead of being protected with a railway carriage, you can get hit straight on the head with a rock. Look at them up there, sitting there to the left. Look at them up there. And they fall all the time. Anytime there's wind, rain, snow even can bring them down. And they called it, funnily enough, the Rob Roy Way. So I don't know what's more dangerous, rocks falling or having Rob Roy around, I don't know. But you'll just see that tree line halfway up the hill, that's the old railway line, and the rocks are just above it. Look at that. Now, if you do decide to take a walk along the Rob Roy Way, and say for instance you're not hit by a rock, and of course you're quite sad, you can increase your chances of being killed to death by camping out at the bottom, because you're allowed to. Thanks to Scotland's unique right to roam policy, you can essentially camp wherever you like, as long as there's no signs up saying no camping, or there's it's on the side of a cliff or anything. You probably could anyway. But yeah, essentially you can camp where you like in Scotland, as long as you leave it in the same condition that you found it. You will see just over to your left hand side, as part of the railway, do we have any Harry Potter fans on board? Well, good, because that's nothing to do with it anyway. That is actually the Glencoe Viaduct. The Glenfinnan Viaduct, which was in the Harry Potter films, is much bigger. However, that was built by the same company that built the Glenfinnan Viaduct. It's Sir Robert McAlpine and Sons. So you could essentially take photographs of that viaduct and tell them you were at Glenfinnan and make them look like I was at Glenfinnan. So it's very much like a glen, but it's a lot wider, and this one has, or most of them have, these flat bottoms. Now this particular strath has a little river at the bottom. That little river goes eventually to Loch Lomond. Then from Loch Lomond it goes all the way to the River Clyde at Glasgow. Now you may hear Glasgow and the surrounding area has been referred to as Strathclyde. And essentially it's because of this. From here down to the Clyde is Strathclyde. Now another thing to keep an eye out for, including our Highland cows, is deer. We have a lot of deer in Scotland. We have no natural predator to the deer, so the only way we can keep numbers down is by hunting. And of course we have a ferocious gun licensing laws here in Scotland. So it's very difficult to take up hunting. Now the largest deer we have in Scotland is the red deer. We also have the little Bambi ones as well. In the Cairngorms National Park we have wild reindeer, the only place in Britain that has wild reindeer. And there is another type of deer, usually found lying at the side of the road, called oh deer. Sorry. Did it again, didn't it? There's the little river. Now just in front of us you will see what's known as Ben More, which means the small mountain. No, it doesn't, it means the big mountain. Now there is two Ben Mores in Scotland. The other one is in the Isle of Mull, and it is 3,100 feet, so that makes it a Munro. Just after Ben More there is another mountain called Ben Docker, and Ben Docker is also 3,100 feet. And the next Munro after that is Ben Lomond, which is also 3,100 feet, and it is the most southern Munro in Scotland, is Ben Lomond. Lubhair, it's spelled L-U-B-H-A-I-R. If you put the B and the H together in the Scots Gaelic language, it creates a V. So it's Loch Lubhair. It is also one of the few lochs in Scotland that will freeze over, and it does do 2 or 3 times this year already. It's fully frozen over. Very pretty. The Loch Lubhair will disappear on the right hand side, then it will come back, and there's a little island that has the ruin of Castle Docker, which is named after the mountain up there to the left. Now Castle Docker is a ruin, but the locals will tell you that they used to use the island as for people who had leprosy. They would live out their life with their illness on the island. There's no evidence of this, however the locals will tell you that's what it was used for. It's Leprosy Island. The Highlands would often rest up here at Timberbush at the various hotels, B&Bs, hostels and things. Nowadays it's mostly people that are doing the West Highland Way, which is a walk, run or mountain bike ride from Mulgai, just outside Glasgow, all the way up to Fort William, right through the heart of the West Highlands. Now to walk the West Highland Way will take you between 5 and 8 or 9 days, something like that. This all depends on how often you go to the pub, of course. And then if mountain bike wise, between 3 and 1 day. Now the fastest known time for a mountain bike is 9 hours 14 minutes, which is just stupid. Don't need to go that fast. I done it in 2 days and thought I was a hero. These guys are doing it in 9 hours. So the gold mine is just up there to the left hand side. I didn't tell you that. Now we will see some of the paths just coming up the next few minutes on the right hand side for the West Highland Way. Don't be fooled to think, oh, that looks easy, because this is the easy part. There's a section by Loch Lomond that is impassable, well, virtually impassable on foot, let alone with a mountain bike. And there is also a section up by Glencoe called the Devil's Staircase, and the clue is very much in the name. But from here on, guys, this is where I think that the Highlands really start, as we make our way up towards Glencoe. We have lost a little bit of time, but what I'll do, instead of trying to be just outside Fort William, we'll change our lunch stop to Fort William itself, and then that will allow us to regroup and then get back on the road, hopefully on time. So yeah, we lost a little bit of time, but it's alright. Anyway guys, enjoy the views. It does get a little bit bumpy at times on this road coming down here, or going up. We're going to be down shortly, as it's a floating road that sits on a bed of logs bound together with wool, because this area is essentially a peat bog and the ground's very soft, so it's the The road actually floats on the on top of the peat bog, so it does get a little bit bumpy at times, so just be wary of that, guys. Also, this railway line on the right hand side goes in between these two mountains, Ben Dorian in the distance. Now, to get between the two mountains, there's a little steel viaduct, and that's where they filmed the scenes for the flying car in Harry Potter. So keep an eye out to the right hand side. The view on the right hand side just gets better and better. So anyway, enjoy the views, and I'll speak to you guys very soon and try and make up a little bit. The government and forces from around the world use the Highlands of Scotland as an Air Force racing track. So occasionally there will be jet fighters flying past, so just try not to get too much of a fright. Now guys, just over to the left hand side here, this is the Glencoe ski resort and mountain bike resort as well. You can just make out the chairlifts going up the side of the mountain, up into the resort up there. The snow's pretty much on its way out, but you never know with Scotland. It was snowing in July last year at the top of Glencoe, so you know. Now just down here to the left hand side of the road at the end, just in front of that white van, you'll see the big mountain on the left. That is the Behind Moor, which is also known as the gatekeeper of Glencoe. It sits right in the corner of Glenative and Glencoe, and it's recently been, recently been in a film starring Daniel Craig as James Bond, and this is of course Skyfall, the origin of James Bond. Now, the reason the Behind Moor was chosen to be Skyfall is when Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond, when he was a young boy, his family used to own a lot of the Highlands. They also used to own the hotel down here called the King's House Hotel, when Ian Fleming was up visiting. More in the background. Now you can hire that little cottage on Airbnb. Yeah. The only thing I would point out to you that you must take into consideration is when you've had your breakfast in the morning and you're standing there in your underpants holding a cup of coffee. When you open the curtains, there'll be 500 tourists there ready to take your photograph. So please bear that in mind, pardon the pun. Now you often see a lot of photographs of that little cottage simply because people that are doing the West Highland Way start climbing the Devil's Staircase from there, and they often stop at that little wood and take photographs there. Now, as we're heading into Glencoe, I need to tell you about something that happened here on the 13th of February 1692. King William of Orange had asked the Highlanders if they would sign an oath showing allegiance to the king, and in return the king would issue paperwork saying that the clans and their lands would be safe. However, when it came to the MacDonalds of Glencoe, they simply forgot to tell them that they had to go to Fort William to get the paperwork witnessed by a sheriff, and the sheriff would then issue the king's paperwork. Excuse me. Now, when they finally did find out, it was the day before deadline day. As you can see, it's bone dry. Just in there to the left. Yeah, it's absolutely bone dry. There's virtually nothing there. Now, that's also known as the meeting of the waters. And that's the three main sources of water from the Three Sisters of Glencoe, which is up here on your left hand side. So guys, welcome to Glencoe. Now, the massacre of Glencoe was deemed as murder, as it was government soldiers against its own people. It was carried out by Clan Campbell, who were government soldiers. They were Scottish, but they were also government soldiers. Now, the Three Sisters on your left, Faith, Hope and Charity at the end here. And the hidden glen is just up there immediately to our left now, which is like a little glen inside the glen. Now guys, we'll get stopped here, but the sooner we can get going, the sooner we can get to our lunch and try and catch up. So when you hear this noise, it's time to go guys, alright? bid to get the Stuart family back onto the throne of Britain. Now, like I said earlier on, after the massacre of Glencoe, the Highland clearances took place and everyone was to get off the land, off the Highlands and into the towns and villages. Now, the MacDonald clan of Scotland, or the MacDonalds, were the largest clan in the whole of Scotland. It's just the massacre of Glencoe, there was just a small community of MacDonalds staying at Glencoe. So King William of Orange took a dig at the largest clan, but at the easiest part. Now, just here to the left hand side of the road, you can see there's a stone wall with some grass on the top, and as you get a little bit closer you'll see that there's some fake cannons and everything there. Now, this is all that's left of the original fort, but everything, including Morrison's here and the Fort William train station to the right, everything here would have been the original fort. Now look where Clan MacDonald put one of their restaurants. How they got away with that, I don't know, because this is the fort here to the left, McDonald's. Brilliant. Now this is also the Fort William train station where the Jacobite Express leaves from, heading up to Mallaig, crossing over the Glenfinnan Viaduct. You will know it as the Hogwarts Express. Now we will be here till 12:55, guys. We're stopping at a little place called the Ben Nevis Tornado, heading back to Lossiemouth. He decided that he was going to show off in front of his friends, playing a game of who can get closest to the house. So if you bear in mind, this is 25-30 years ago, so that tree would have been a lot smaller, so it turns out he got very close to it. Clipped the top of the tree, the pilot had to eject. He survived. He did have a lot of explaining to do, right enough, but he did survive. Giraffes. See them just over there? They're not actually called giraffes, guys. In order for a ship to sail through the canal, the bridge rotates, closing the road, which is all fine and well until you're trying to catch a boat at Lochness and there's canals going, or boats going through the canal. It can be a bit stressful, but apart from that, it's lovely. Now, Loch Lochy has now disappeared, guys, so on your right hand side is the beginning of Lochoy. Tornado heading back to Lossiemouth. He decided that he was going to show off in front of his friends, playing a game of who can get closest to the house. So if you bear in mind, this is 25-30 years ago, so that tree would have been a lot smaller, so it turns out he got very close to it. Clipped the top of the tree, the pilot had to eject. He survived. He did have a lot of explaining to do, right enough, but he did survive. A large herd of Highland cows, so we need to keep an eye out for them, guys. They will be on the right hand side and the left hand side, but keep an eye out for them. There's sometimes some in these bushes here, they like to roam in there and just eat everything. Looks like they've ate everything. So they're not in these fields, I think they're on the ones just round the corner. So in the next 30 seconds or so, keep an eye out to your right hand side. Just out to the right. There you go. Now there is sometimes some in here on the right hand side as well. There is also some on the left hand side for the guys who couldn't see. Just there to the left. Hi, Carl. Of 200 years old. It has been restored.
200 years old.
As you can see, the bridge rotating. So the next loch you will see will be Lochness. Woohoo! Few deer in here, there's stags and things, so keep an eye out. Just coming up on the left hand side, just here guys, see if we can spot them. There's one just here, there's some young ones just here, some stags down the bottom. And some micro goats. Only 50% of the loch has ever been explored, the rest is too deep and too dark. They just can't get down, it's too deep. The water itself is very, very dark, it's a dark brown colour, mostly down to the amount of peat particles that's in the water. And of course, the side of the lochs are made up from rock, so once you get down a little bit, you can't see. They have had some of the most powerful lights in the world in Lochness, and utterly useless. Now, if you were to drain all the water out of Lochness, then try and refill it with all the water from England, and then add all the water from Wales, you still wouldn't half full Lochness. And that's just one loch. In Scotland there are over 32,000 lochs. So we're okay for water. And they get topped up every day. So, in the meantime guys, I'll leave you with Lochness. Let you just get your eye on the water for a little while. Scary to think that that loch to your right hand side is on average deeper than the North Sea. Anyway, oh, what was that? Did you see that? Did anyone see that? No, it's a squirrel. It's a squirrel. Anyway, I'll leave you with Lochness for a little bit, and then once we get a little bit further up the road, there's a big ripple in the middle there. So it's a monster down here, there's something there. And I'll give you some information regarding timings and procedures once we get to Orchard Castle and to the Clansman Hotel. On the River Morrison. A model of Orchard Castle made out of stones and heather, all sorts of flowers. Just coming up here on the right hand side. You see it in the little garden here. Now in America they have Disneyland. In Paris they have Euro Disney. Here at Drumnadrocket at Lochness we have Nessyland. Isn't it rubbish? Is it? That's rubbish. There's not even any roller coasters. It's rubbish. Guys, we should be at the Clansman Hotel in just over 5 minutes. It's not too far. Cutting across or round the base. About 5 minutes, guys. Well, there is some Highland cows on the fields on the left hand side, so keep an eye out for them. Sometimes they can be quite far up the hill, but they are there. Now, just before it does disappear altogether, it's going to appear now on both sides of the road. We're essentially driving through Loch Ness. Now, it has been known for the Loch Ness Monster to jump over the road here at this point and take part in one of my favourite pastimes, which is camper van tipping. There you go. If you have a little look over the right hand side of the Caledonian Canal, you'll see a little ripple in the water. That's the beginning of the River Ness as it makes its way out, or as they both make their way out towards the north. Some of you guys may be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, this looks nothing like Outlander. And you'd be right. The scenes for Inverness and Outlander were actually filmed in a little place called Falkland, which is in Fife, just outside of Edinburgh. Around 55,000 people stay here in Inverness. It's known as the capital of the Highlands, even though there's no such thing as the capital of the Highlands, but if there was, it would be Inverness. There's also a lot of people, a bustling tourist industry, as a lot of people are booking their holidays and activities in and around Inverness, because you can be at Lochness in 15-20 minutes, and you can also be up to the Isles, Lewis, Harris, and of course the Isle of Skye, do those in a day. Inverness is also pivotal in the support for Aberdeen in the production of off-sea oil and gas. And of course the people of Inverness have won Scotland's Ugliest People 2 years in a row. I don't know if there's any truth behind that, but it's a funny story. Now, I don't know, as I said, I don't know if there's any truth in that. Any time I've ever met anyone from Inverness, they've been very funny. An amazing sense of humour, and they'll do anything for you. They're not much to look at, right? Says the oil painting, that is me. Now we are just about to go over the River Ness and right into the nightlife of Inverness. And 20 minutes to 5 now. And if you look up to your right hand side as we go over the River Ness, you will see Inverness Castle. And it has never actually been used as a castle. Yeah. And by the looks of it, they're still building it, look. I think what's happened is at the end of the financial year, the accountants have said to the councillors, listen, we have a lot of extra money, what should we do? Build a castle. Oh, okay. Now, when it was originally built, it was opened as a courtroom. So if you're a naughty boy or girl, that's where you went. And then, at the moment, Inverness Castle is being used as a tourist information centre. A castle. So yeah, it's never been fortified, never been fought over. I suppose it's just like anything else, something nice to have. Again, there's a lot of changing of the guard when it comes to the night goers, or what do you call them? Party people here. I don't know. There's a lot of moving people are in and around Inverness all the time, so it's ever changing. So it's good for a night out. Not that I would don't do nights out anymore, but I have it on good authority that it's very good for a night out. It's also after the charging down south by Bonnie Prince Charlie and the Jacobites. Once they got as far down as Derby, which to be fair is almost just outside London, it's not far from London. They were waiting on the old alliance, the French, to appear, and whether Bonnie Prince Charlie just told the Jacobites that they were coming when they weren't really, I don't know. The Jacobites realised that no, it's too much, we're going back to Inverness, and they headed back to Inverness. Now what that done was give the Duke of Cumberland time to regroup his redcoats, and they eventually caught up with them just outside Inverness. Now Bonnie Prince Charlie thought to himself, aha, we'll get a jump on them here. It's the Duke of Cumberland's birthday this evening, so they'll be hungover in the morning. We shall march through the night and surprise them. Yeah, they didn't have a party. They were standing there waiting for them coming. So yeah, it was a bit of a bloody mess, to be honest. Duke of Cumberland, not only did they order the de-armorisation of the Jacobites, he also sent his men back into the battlefield and killed all the wounded, which was not sportsmanlike, shall we say. They also killed any spectators of the battles, which there was a lot. We'll be heading down nice straight roads all the way down to Pitlochry, which is our final stop of the day. So nice straight road down the A9, which is known to Scottish people as the spine of Scotland. It runs all the way from Inverness down to Stirling. So we'll be heading down there. It's going to take us through the Cairngorms National Park. So Ben Nevis is the highest mountain in Britain, followed by Mount Snowdon in Wales, and then 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th highest mountains in Britain are all in the Cairngorms National Park. So if you can be bothered staying awake, there will be some nice scenery for you. There could also be a chance that you could see golden eagles, wild reindeer. That's of course if you can be bothered staying awake. Now if you can be bothered staying awake, please be mindful of others. I'm going to switch the microphone off, give you a little bit of you time, a bit of quiet time as we make our way down towards Pitlochry. So please be mindful of others that may be trying to have a little rest, because it's been a very long day. As there's a lot of banks and corporate businesses all set up here due to the extremely rich, fertile lands that surround Perth and Kinross. There's no such thing as a poor farmer from Perth and Kinross. Now if you have a little, you might try and sneak a peek, if you have a little peek down to your left hand side in the next few seconds, you'll be able to see in lights the old city of Perth. Just down to your left now, guys. Seawater tidal river called the Firth of Forth, which means the fjord of the River Forth as it heads back out to the North Sea. Now we're going to need a bigger bridge, so thankfully we have the choice of 3, and they're called the Forth Bridges over the Firth of Forth. Anyone confused? Well, you will be in a minute. Now the bridge we're going to go across is called the Fourth Road Bridge, even though technically it was the first road bridge. It was opened in 1964 by Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II, and in 2017 it was replaced by the bridge that you can see there, the Queen's Ferry Crossing, which was also opened by Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II. Now, public transport, buses, taxis, bicycles, pedestrians can still go over the old bridge, helps ease congestion, makes sense. But it also gives us a prime view of the UNESCO World Heritage Site that is the fourth bridge itself, even though technically it was the first bridge. Now it's called the fourth bridge. Some people call it the fourth rail bridge, but it's just the fourth bridge. It's rail only. It was opened in 1891, funnily enough not by Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II. It was built using American Carnegie steel. Andrew Carnegie, the world's richest man, was from here. This is Dunfermline. It's also where Robert the Bruce is buried as well, but never mind, we'll get back to that anyway. Now it's a twin cantilever style bridge, so it's very, very strong. What was I going to say there? Oh, that was it. Even up to even today, there was upwards of 200 trains go over it every single day. Still in use, and it's 135 years old this year, I think. It's crazy. It's never moved an inch. Always just stood there, done its job, and what have you. Now, this is the only place in the world where there is three bridges crossing the same stretch of water from three different centuries: 19th, 20th, and of course the Queen's Ferry Crossing is the 21st. So guys, this is the fourth bridges, even though there's only three of them. I don't know them. No, just like to the horn.
This is the other bridge, right side.
No, that's the other bridge.
Okay.
But that's the other bridge. That's the new bridge on the right hand side. That's the old bridge. This is also the old bridge.
Okay.
For Hogwarts. Now, there is two claimees to the inspiration to Hogwarts. The first one coming up in the next few seconds is going to be on the right hand side. This is the Stuart Melville's College, and it was originally designed to be Houses of Parliament in London. Thankfully they went with a different design and we ended up having it built up here instead. Look at that up there to the right hand side.
Okay.
That looks more like Hogwarts than Hogwarts. Now, like Hogwarts, it does have a house on each corner. And again, it is a private school, so if you would like to send your child to Hogwarts, the Stuart Melville's College, it's going to cost you around £28,000 per year. Bargain. I've got twin boys, so that's not happening. Now, the second claimee to the inspiration to Hogwarts is also a private school called Fettes College. Now, Fettes College is a little bit more expensive. Yeah, I said expensive. £48,000 per year. Now, again, I've got twin boys, so I would be £96,000 per year for some peace and quiet. Thinking about it. Previous attendees to Fettes College: Gordon Brown, Tony Blair, ex-Prime Ministers, and of course the fictional character James Bond went to Fettes College after he was thrown out of Eton. Now, just before we say our goodbyes, ladies and gentlemen, can we all make sure we have all our belongings, phones, bags, shoes, children? Yes, people leave their shoes on buses. They do. At what point do you realise you've lost your shoes? Halfway back to the hotel. Oh, my feet are cold. Oh, my shoes. Yeah, so please remember your shoes, guys, and of course any belongings as well. Now we are just about to go over the Dean Bridge, which is Thomas Telford's last ever bridge that he built. As I said, he was responsible for over 2,000 bridges. This is the last one that he ever built, called the Dean Bridge. Now we have got time for just one more Scottish banger before we say our goodbye. Now, you didn't think you were going on a Highland tour and not hearing this.
London